Well, let me start. I think this is my first time in this call. I am Alfredo Hooker. I am in South Florida, close to Fort Lauderdale, and I do invest in Central Florida. I do have a couple of houses in the central area there, and also LP and a couple of deals in Tampa, the Tampa Bay area. And I also invest into another LP in Georgia as well. So what I wanted to get out of this, especially networking with the people that like to invest in Central Florida, and see if we can, talk to each other and see if we can help each other out in a deal.
Absolutely, Alfredo. And I know we've had a chance to speak multiple times. Glad to have you on here. This group is also, it's not only for those that are wanting to network, but it's also for those that want to invest here. But if you want to invest somewhere else, but you're looking for some local team members, maybe, then this is the other way to kind of wrap around the region. So it really is, it can be a nationwide thing, depending on what your approach is. Thanks, Alfredo. I'm going to mute everyone here, and then the next person just unmute so that we don't have anybody mumbling in the background. Here we go.
Don't be shy, you guys. Penny, let's go.
No, I thought he meant just like the people that it's their first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just the first. I know there's a couple. I can call on you if you want.
Oh, well, I didn't know how we were going. Can you hear me or am I muted?
No, we got you, Bob. Thanks for coming, brother.
Okay, great. Yeah. My name is Bob Arnold. I'm a longtime friend of Mr. Reyes over there. I'm an attorney in South Florida. Also happen to have my broker's license. I work with investors primarily in the Palm Beach and Miami-Dade area. Who knows who's calling? But I'm here at the invite of Ismail, and I don't really have an agenda for tonight other than to hear what's going on and see if I can learn anything.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Sure.
Who else? Tim, you haven't been on here before, have you? I've never seen a military man be afraid to jump in there. Are you muted? Yes. Here we go. Let's see. How is that?
Okay.
There you go.
Now you got me.
I got you.
No, I wasn't afraid. Hi, Tim Little here. I'm in DC right now, usually out of Tampa, Florida. Ray and I have hooked up on a deal over there, a 59 unit. We're both GPs. Also an LP in a property in San Antonio, and just have a little triplex in St. Pete, Florida. So right now, just looking to meet some folks, of course, and then also have drop some knowledge on me about what's going on with lending right now. I know things are getting a little crazy, so I need to stay updated.
Nice. And I saw some folks were having some trouble. I think I clicked the button, so that should help. See, you should be able to unmute now.
Hey, this is Brendan Shirley.
All right.
Works.
All right.
Nice work. I'm in Jupiter, Florida. I'm a builder, and so far I've only done single-family investing. Have several single-family homes in Nashville, Tennessee. Love that market, but focusing more on Central and possibly South Florida. Seems like the numbers make more sense in Central Florida, so just looking to learn more, and would love to be a GP in a deal as far as project managing or anything else that I could be helpful to do, but just looking to learn more about the market before I dive in.
Nice. Yeah, hey, I may want to touch base with you on some stuff I got going on in Nashville too. Sounds like you got some expertise there. All right, great. Thanks for getting on.
Yeah, thanks for putting it on.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm from New York and looking to start investing in the Florida area, looking at Tampa right now. And I hear, I think from the introduction of Julie, and I'm looking forward to learning more about the Florida markets and some information about some more mortgages.
Nice. Thanks, Linda. Thanks for getting on. How's New York nowadays?
Not that good.
We get a lot. We
It's
get a
not a
lot of
market.
folks coming investing down here, so
Yeah,
I can't complain too much about that.
yeah, we're looking to get out of the New York market right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Winston Schofield. This is my first time here. I'm glad to be here. I currently have 2 assets in Gainesville, Florida. I am currently looking to venture out into the Texas market. I am here to build my pool of network individuals here. I can add value to their operation. This is like, I'm not going to take too long, but this is great because I never had met none of y'all if it wasn't for the pandemic.
Yes.
So I am so glad in a weird way that the pandemic happened. So it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful experience, and I'm happy to be here and meet everyone.
Thanks, Winston. At least most of us, I won't include myself in there, are experts at this Zoom thing here. So yeah, you're right. This is, I remember Zoom was like, nobody even knew it. Now it's a verb.
Right. We're just going to your local meetups and that was it. Now it's amazing. This is great. I hope it continues, hopefully.
Yeah, I think we'll have, probably a combination of both. It always helps to, meet someone face to face, but it may be a cost savings when you've already met someone and you want to actually do some more business. So yeah, absolutely. Did I get all the new folks? All right. All right, so I guess we'll continue. What I'd like to do is just give a few minutes to for anybody in the group to talk about maybe some projects they have going on. If they got something they want to brag about, anything going on in your world that may be useful to the rest of us, that would be great. Here again, about a minute, if you've got something.
Yeah, I have something. I host a meetup group as well, Orlando based, and we're having a meetup October 5th with an Orlando broker named Joe LaFleur. He's an awesome guy. So if anyone's interested, it's going to be super valuable. So you can message me or for the link.
Is yours going to be digital too, or are you going to actually meet face to face?
No, we're doing Zoom as well.
I'm just curious, people are,
Yeah.
I have a dinner date tomorrow night and I'm just like, really? Are you sure?
Yeah, not yet.
There's probably some speed dating stuff going on Zoom. Some folks signing up to. All right, good, Bailey. I got that. I may hit you up on that. You may, if you can, just put if you've got the right Zoom link. Unlike myself, we want to just post it on there. Anybody else? Julie, when's that Old Capitol?
Oh, yes. We have an Old Capitol Conference, although I'll be covering that in my presentation. So that's coming up October 20th and 21st. October 20th and 21st. Old Capitol Conference. I'll put it in here. And you can just find it at oldcapitalconference.com.
Nice. Sorry, Julie, I didn't want to steal from your presentation.
Oh, that's okay.
So anybody else?
I have a Zoom call on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. I have a speaker that comes, and we have funded 2 deals already. So if you guys have a deal or you're looking for investors, I highly recommend you come and join us. We're at about almost 50 people, every Tuesday. So come and join us. The link is on my Facebook page, Julie Anne Peterson, or on my LinkedIn, either one. Also, make sure that you link to me on either one or both of those.
Great. That reminds me, if you haven't, I know I haven't done it yet, but if you have a minute here, everyone, if you can just put your email on the chat so we can share, unless you really don't want to, but I think that's part of this. So just, if you have a second, go ahead and put that in there as well. So I will say one thing here, and then if anybody else has, they can jump in right after that. But I did want to touch base. I know some of you have bought and read my book. I just got word from my publisher yesterday that it had actually qualified for international bestseller. So I have no idea how that happens or how that's calculated, but I'm changing my cover on it, put that little bestseller sign. So I'm excited about that.
Great.
So that's good.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
That is.
Cool.
And I know if anybody's had a chance to read it or is going through it, I'd really appreciate if you can put your comments there in the Amazon rating. I know that helps as well, especially if you thought it was worth it. Obviously, if you didn't, I'd love to hear that feedback as well, so I can make the next one better. All right, last call. All right, good. We will take a second now, and this is something that I think will be useful to you all, especially if you're wanting to kind of broaden your social media presence. What we do is we'll take a Zoom selfie, they call it, and all that is basically you smile. You make sure you're smiling, nobody's drooling on the camera, and then we do a countdown, and then you can kind of post this on LinkedIn. And if you have a chance to tag some of the other folks in there, it really helps everyone kind of get some exposure, especially if they've got some other things they want to get out. So if everyone is ready, I'm going to give a quick 3, 2, 1 countdown. And
How do you do that, by the way? Just quick question. How do you take a screenshot on this thing? I've never done it.
Yeah, so you can do a print screen, which is one way. I have a little bit of piece of software that I use that's called, let me pull it up here. It's what is this thing? I know that Windows also has a little a Snapchat feature that is part of their setup, but I use TechSmith, and it's a little capture thing. But you actually have to download it and install it. Anyone else have some suggestions for?
Yeah. Penny, do you have a Mac?
Yeah.
Command Shift 4.
Ah, thank you. You're the best.
And then you have to, you can drag it. There's another option to just have it do the whole screen, but I forgot which one that is. But Command Shift 4 will do it.
Got it. All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bailey.
Bailey's always there for me.
All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. I got it. You guys get it? Now I can post this one. And save in the desktop, and then we will continue. All right. So I guess at this point, we will not hold up the show any longer. Julie, it is my pleasure to introduce you. She is a commercial loan officer with Old Capital Lending. She already talked a little bit about that. A little bit more about Oak Capital, which is, especially for those that are doing deals at this point. In 2018 and 19, they closed over $1 billion in loan transactions. So big money there. So it's always good to have a lender. I'm sure this will come up in your hip pocket for when you need them. It's not something you want to be looking at after the fact. So, and Julie has been doing real estate transactions for 30 years. She not only sources funds, she consults with clients to solve their immediate needs. She works with all types of income producing real estate and at all levels of the capital stack. Julian's clients are real estate entrepreneurs who are dependent upon the many relationships they establish, and the relationship with their capital provider is no different. Outside of work, Julie enjoys spending time with her husband, 4 children, and Walter the dog. And I will say that Julie's also doing some pretty cool. She's doing these things where she's like just walking around LA and San Diego and doing pop-up meetings. I'm sure everyone's wearing their mask, but
Yeah.
you know, she's getting out there a little bit. So that's good. Julie, I think without further ado, I'm going to just give you the floor.
Well, thank you so much. It's such a treat to be with everybody. As you guys know, I am in San Diego, so I am similar to you guys, although not as humid, I would say. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I've got just so much, you guys. I love what I do. And so it's hard for me to say, okay, only one thing can I share. So I'm going to go into quite a bit. And if there's anything that you want to have better information on, stop me or feel free to put it into the chat box. I have a lot of stuff that I put together here. So please, Ray, if I'm running late because I want to stay on your schedule, please say, hey, hurry it up, sister.
I think we'll be fine. But yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. We'll get there.
All right. So as mentioned, I am a commercial loan officer. I'm in San Diego. And our company was started in Texas, but I am here to tell you that there is life outside of Texas. So I primarily look, while I will do deals in Texas, I do primarily look outside of it. So Phoenix and East, I do some things in the Midwest, which we're seeing quite a bit more work coming out of the Midwest, but we go on the East. I've done things in New York, actually, North Carolina, South Carolina, and then all the way down to Florida. So before we get going on how to finance your multifamily transaction, let's get you to understand old capital lending. We're going to talk about the market, kind of what we're seeing high level, not to get too deep because we've all seen it on the news, but kind of how it plays into financing. And then we'll talk about financing your transaction and any questions that you may have. So this is our agenda for today. Now, is there anybody in the house who has not heard of old capital lending? Anybody? I can't see all of you. Okay, Penny, today is your day. So we are a premier provider of commercial capital, primarily in multifamily. As you can see here, we do 85% of our business is in multifamily, but we do office, retail, industrial, mobile home parks, senior and student housing, along with retail and storage. So if you come upon that and you need some finance, I can help you with that. We really pride ourselves on execution certainty. And so maybe you say, well, what is execution certainty? It sounds like a great word. Well, it's not uncommon to find lenders out there or brokers like myself who will try and lock up the deal and say, I can get you 80%. We've been in 4 downturns. We've been in business for over 30 years. And so we have seen how to underwrite these deals. And so maybe you're looking at a deal that is not in a large MSA, and you've got a mortgage broker that is saying, I can get you 80. And you come to Julie and she says, I can get you 75. Execution certainty is about knowing that we can close. We are not believers in retrading the deal. Now, if you give us all the information and we are providing you with a debt quote, based on nothing else happening, any other issues on the property, that's our quote. That's what we're going to stay with. Retrading is a risky place to be. And so we talk about execution certainty because we've closed 5,800 loans. That's a lot of loans. So why not go to the experts in finance? After putting all of the time and energy, the biggest thing that you can do is go with a lender that will close it. And you know that the lender is your biggest partner. So go with somebody that knows how to do it. Execution certainty. So we're here to help find solutions, lend advice, and provide personalized customer service that results in repeat clients. and really are intentional. We are very intentional about our approach. This is a breakdown of the asset classes. Taking away the student and senior housing, these are the types of loans that we will do on the breakout. And we'll go through this as we go deeper into today's information. So again, $1 billion, we've got 9 of us closing deals. That's a lot of deals that we're closing monthly. We work with agency debt, which is going to be your Fannie and Freddie. Bank loans, maybe you're new and you need a bank loan, which is recourse. Bridge loans, short-term, interest only, or CMBS, which is larger, not a lot of rehab in those types of loans. So those are kind of the breakdown. A little bit about me. Again, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been a lender for 3 years, but I have been purchasing I bought my first home when I was 22, $250,000. And as you know, real estate comes and goes. So that first single family I bought, I lost 80,000. Then I went to the Bay Area and I doubled my money. So there are good and bad in every story. But now today I find myself as an active investor, owning my own properties here in San Diego. I own and operate those. I'm also a limited partner on deals in Texas and Kentucky and shopping center in North Carolina. So I'm doing what you're doing. I understand the market. I'm also an advisor for the Michael Blanc educational program. I run a Zoom call, as I mentioned, Zoom at 8. I'm also a meetup. I have a meetup here, the National Apartment Investing Community here in San Diego. Oh my goodness, I just have so many things that I'm involved with. I do the Where's Julie pop-up. So a lot of my clients become good friends because, as you know, this business, you do business with the people you know, like, and trust. So I'm hoping that through this introduction of how I work, that you too can be one of my clients and a friend. So Old Capital is about educating. You know, you can go to a lot of different conferences and you can go to a lot of different meetups, and there's sometimes an underlying current that I'm selling you a program. That's not Old Capital. We got into this trying to be different, that we educate you. So one of the things that we do is our podcast, which has been out for about 8 years. This is one of the first tried and true. We've got 65,000 weekly listeners. And this is where Paul, our national underwriter, and Michael Becker, who has 10,000 units under his belt, they listen to real life investors. How did you get through that hurricane? How did you get through the fire caused by the electrical? So take a look at that, oldcapitalpodcast.com. You can find it on iTunes and Spotify. And then we also do the upcoming conference, the Old Capital Conference. There's the information. It's now $129. These are some of the folks that are going to be speaking. It's 12 hours. It's 6 hours of networking and 6 hours of speakers. So this is not a community where you're trying to figure out, am I going to get into multifamily? This is actually people that are doing multifamily. These are where you'll find brokers. This is where you'll find LPs, GPs, investors, LPs, your attorneys. They're going to be all here. So you will have access to them. Neil Bawa is another big name that'll be there. So just to take a look at that. So you might be saying, why Old Capital? What makes us different? And as you can see on the left, that kind of tells you what we do. And we won't take a lot of this, but the podcast, all the seminars that we do, we represent the buyer. And many people come to me and say, I've got a deal. And I say, how are we going to get this done? Do you have a sponsor? And they say, I don't have that. So we work putting the whole deal together. Unlike some of the mortgage lenders or brokers that are out there, that they're one and done. I'm looking for a long-term relationship with you where I can help bring investors, I can help bring sponsors, I can bring my network of people to help you take down deals. So once again, why are we here? Why are we in Zoom? I spoke on a women's group yesterday, and one of the things that they were talking, everybody had to say what they were grateful for. And honestly, I said Zoom because I am able to touch so many people. I'd be on a plane every week trying to take into and make connection with all of the people that I have. So I am so grateful for COVID, right? You know, this doesn't need any words. We all know, and we see this picture, we know this, what this represents. And it could be some very major changes in your life. You may be here because of COVID. We came up with a ton of new people that came into the Michael Blanc group looking to better themselves, not be stuck in a W-2. So these changes are affecting the world. And you know what? We knew something was going to be changing. We were ready for something as a 10-year run was, we went through incredible economy. So we were really ready for these changes. Except now we're dealing with, you know, this, we shut down our economy for 2 months. And we had, you know, it took a really heavy toll. In a span of 2 months, over 22 million people were laid off or furloughed. The same number of jobs that were created 10 years ago in the expansion cycle. And now just in simply 2 months, we've lost that. And really, since we've opened since May, we've gotten a little bit of bounce back. You can see that in this example, we've got about 9.3 new jobs created. And really, this is showing that while the expansion back in 2010, 2008, 2010, we're able to see that it's not a financial crisis, but simply a health crisis that we're in. Take a look at this. The massive wave of job loss pushed the unemployment to 14.7. The global financial crisis of 2010 with unemployment at 10%, we've exceeded that by 4%. As you know, as states are partially reopening, we see that unemployment rate being dropping here. You can see it at 10.2%, but they're still exceptionally high, high by historical standards, this unemployment. And you know, the unemployment has been unevenly distributed. Take a look on the East Coast. Some of these states, they've been more impacted more dramatically than others. East Coast and West Coast, we're looking at Nevada, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. They were hit hardest with unemployment at 16 and above 16%. So, you know, the unemployment at the time before COVID was 2.9 in some states. And so COVID has completely changed that architecture. States like Nevada, as you see, Hawaii, California, and Florida have had a huge impact due to hospitality, tourism. And Midwest states, as you can see, where there's less density, they've fared much better. During COVID, people have been doing a lot more savings. So we can see here the severe, it increased in deposits just simply from the beginning of COVID. You can see it is huge amount of people saving because, you know, we're eating in, we're not traveling. We've saved 1.5 trillion in just that short amount of time. So this implies that once a medical solution comes, that there's going to be a huge amount of spending that's going to be going on. And the economy could get a substantive boost once we get this vaccine going. Interest rates, huge deal this week. Or actually last week we heard from the feds that said we will not be raising the interest rates for at least 3 years. This is the lowest on record. You can see lower than 1955. We are at a 10-year treasury low of near 0.7%. I mean, it is crazy low. So we're going to let this inflation run hot if we need to. Right now, inflation's at 1%, and you know there's going to be a mandate to keep unemployment low. They're going to keep that pedal down until job creation, and even if we can contend with inflational pressure, we're going to keep those interest rates low, which is great for those that are trying to get into this market. Here's just a look at the different asset classes, the rent collections by property. You can see here apartments at 95. I actually got, just about an hour ago, I received my distribution information from the people that I invest with. And for the first time since the beginning of COVID, they've actually dropped below 95%. So I think you're going to start to see some of this. I still say that you should stay with apartments, and there are going to be some bumps ahead. If no stimulus on some of this rent collection, it may continue to deteriorate. The eviction moratorium, the rent controls, my goodness, Prop 21, don't get me started in California. This is going to affect this class. High-rise apartment buildings, simply thinking about your elevators. How do you get in and out of these? That is also being impacted. So there's a major confidence problem. Office, people don't want to go to the office. Retail, they don't want to go out. Storage, people are moving. So we're seeing more influx in storage, buying and selling. So medical solution is critical for our recovery to free people's concerns. There's still going to be some high uncertainty. The recovery is going to be choppy. Let's face it. Major factors will play into that to affect confidence. So be prepared for some more gyrations through the end of the year. We're going to see some more deterioration of collections. I don't think there's going to be a full recovery until there is a vaccine that's introduced and the economy can start to rev. People can get on planes, start spending, and feel confident. That's when things are going to change. But what has changed in COVID? Not only are we, stuck in our houses, but we have a huge influx of capital coming into the United States. Other markets, and maybe you have all heard this, we're at negative returns in China, Japan, Europe, Germany and Italy. So a lot of that capital is coming over, looking for opportunities. So I get phone calls all day long and people saying, how could they close at that price? How can somebody put an offer in at that price? People are moving out of California. I'm looking to sell my property in California to get the hell out. So with that, keep that in mind. We do know that multifamily is recession proof. That is why there are people coming in. All right, the collections are off. They're not far from being off, but they're off. So occupancies need to start, they need to start coming up just to give some certainty. And believe me, you have to have belief and confidence to make things happen for yourself and for your investors. Are there any questions so far? All right.
What is your, not really about your presentation per se, but what is the concept behind your pop-up meeting?
Concept is this. I'm stuck in California, but not for always, right? So mine is to build my networks outside of Southern California, and when I can travel, my interest is to contact the people that I've met in Zoom and say, hey, I'm coming to town. Let's get together. Let's have a meetup wherever I am to have a network. Now, though, you may not even know the people that I'm in contact with. So it's an opportunity for you to meet them as well.
Oh, so you invite them to your Tuesday Zoom?
Nope. Well, that's where's Julie pop-up is a luncheon that we get together in different areas. So
Okay.
like I say, when I start traveling to your area, you're going to find out, hey, I'm coming to town, let's meet. And it's an opportunity to meet in person. Maybe you don't have any people that that you're doing multifamily with, but when I come to town, I'm going to bring all those people that I've met to meet up in the area where I'm traveling to. So it's just an opportunity to meet.
Julie, you mentioned that collections for multifamily was at 95%. I'm just curious from your perspective, like, do you see that deteriorating like way beyond that point? Or
Yeah, I do. I do. Unless we get some confidence and we get a vaccine, yes, I do see that there is going to be some deterioration in certain classes and in certain markets. Let's look at New York, for instance. It is a mess. There's nobody wanting to go there. There's crime. I mean, there's physically people that are getting hurt there and they want to leave. So there's a mass exodus. So those particular buildings in that MSA are going to be affected. I mean, I've read articles that say it could take 10 years for some of these markets like New York to struggle. An area like Texas, in a C or a D class, I think you're going to see some unless these folks get back to work.
Right.
9%, 10% unemployment is still high. And you do see that we've got some stimulus in certain markets, like in Texas, it's all gone. There's no more left. So what's going to happen with these people? How are they going to pay? They're going to be going back home, or they're going to be combining. They can't survive. So things are going to have to change.
The only thing that may alter that trajectory a little bit, Julie, and I know we've talked about it, is, you know, if our elected representatives can come up with a plan, and you know, we've been waiting on it. You know, it is an election year, but I'm frankly, I'm a little surprised that they haven't done more with this second iteration. So I'm hoping maybe next week
I
or
would
two.
I would tend to agree with you, and I try and stay as close to center as I can. But there are reasons why people get into multifamily or into real estate as opposed to stocks. As you know, our president is a real estate guru, right? I mean, he's not a guru, but that's what he does. He has found ways to pay as little taxes as he can. Should not be considered a fault. He has found the ways to do it. And here too, you too can take advantage of those depreciation, bonus depreciation, cost segregation. If this goes and we have a change, this potentially could affect your returns, could affect how multifamily, the returns for your investors. I mean, maybe if it's not a tax advantaged investment, that's going to really affect your investors, quite frankly. So you need
Julie,
to, yeah.
you were talking about how some of the markets are going to suffer, and obviously we all saw how bad New York got hit by the pandemic, and there's sort of the leading edge on values and stuff like that falling and people leaving the city up there. What has your company started putting out any kind of guidance on if and where and when any of the other markets or regions are going to follow suit, if they're going to follow suit?
When you say follow suit, are you talking about?
Yeah, have a decrease in value, start to see some of the same pain that they're seeing up in the New York City area.
Yeah, I would say, again, the vaccine, getting people back, cap rates, that was something that Ray wanted to talk about, is that unless we start to see this change, this vaccine and jobs, your cap rates are going to start to climb because we're losing, you know, your occupancy goes down, your net rental income goes down. We can't get the increases. In fact, maybe you can't even, you got to do concessions, right? And concessions, we've seen the underwriting over the last 5 months, and there's concessions have completely increased and bad debt has increased. So while you may have people living in your properties and there's shoes at the door, they may not be paying, right? So this is all something that we really need to get a hold of. And you know, who knows if November 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever the date is after the elections, what's going to happen with COVID? I'm not speculating, but it'll be really interesting to see what happens moving forward. You know, we hear from Fauci that says, you know what, this may not be, or this may be around for until 2022. Who knows, right? So your best bet right now is to be conservative as possible And again, people got into this a year ago, 2 years ago with very slim margins, very high leverage, and they cannot afford for a bump in the road. And so I do believe that as we have deterioration, there will be opportunities for investors to get to start picking up some of these properties. There are a couple options for syndicators, whether it's to do for forbearance. There was that opportunity. Are they going to extend that? Not, you know, we haven't heard, but that may be something. Second is maybe there's a capital call. You'd hate to have a capital call, but it may be necessary to protect those investors to not go into default. So that may also be something. We're seeing assumptions. I've seen a ton of assumptions on properties that were purchased in 2018. That's not that long ago. And they haven't completed their business plan. So things are off. But there is a huge prepayment penalty. So you just have to watch out for these. Okay. All right, let me keep going. So how are we going to finance your next transaction? So again, we are a lender. We bring 75 to 80% of the property, the investment. You bring 25, 30%, sometimes 20, depending on it. Okay. So again, we're the largest partner in the deal. So it's important that you know and you trust your lender. As I mentioned earlier, we all know how to close loans here at Old Capital. And at the end of the day, it's about execution certainty. It doesn't matter if it's 3.75 or 3.8. If you can't close at 3.8, for heaven's sakes, it's not worth it. Go with who you know, like, and trust. So let me ask you, if I handed you a deal, 150 unit deal today, okay, for $5 million, could you close it? So these are some of the questions that I'm going to pose to you. How would you finance it? What kind of loan would you qualify for? And who would you need to add to your sponsorship team? Let's break this down. How would you finance it? So we do a lot with agency debt. So I'm going to introduce you to how do you do agency debt? These are the components. You need net worth. If you go across there, net worth greater than the loan amount. $1 million loan, I need net worth of $1,000,001. In your group, 1 person, 5 people. The more people you put in your deal, the less money that goes in your pocket. Second, liquidity, 10% of the loan amount, 10% of the loan amount in post-close liquidity. What does that mean, Julie? I need to see a bank statement or bank statements that have, again, going back to our $1 million loan amount, I need 100,000 in a bank, somebody's bank in the team, hopefully. And that needs to be marketable securities, cash or marketable securities. We'll go over marketable securities next. Third thing, you need experience. What is experience, Julie? Fannie and Freddie agency debt experience. That's in multifamily, not in your home, Fannie at home. This is multifamily. So you need to find someone on your team that has 3 to 5 transactions. Great if it is in your area. Great if they have rehab because you're going to do rehab. And great if you live in the area where the property is. It's not necessary, but we're trying to provide a narrative to the lender that marks all of the boxes. He lives in the area. He has transaction experience. He has net worth. He has liquidity. He or she, right? And then the equity. We like to see 10% coming from the GP. Who's in the GP? The person that finds the deal and the other people that are bringing this together. And keep in mind, agency debt is going to need 90 days occupancy, 90 days of 90% occupancy. So if you're talking about your market strategy, that should be something you're telling your brokers. I need a stabilized asset at 90 days, at 90% occupancy. Remember that. That is key for agency debt. Here is your marketable securities. People, a lot of times, they don't know what this looks like. This is kind of a breakdown. Money market, capital market securities, derivatives, and indirect investments. I can get you a copy of this, so you don't need to write this down right now. But know that these, your cash value of your life insurance is another great place to find these. So let's go to what kind of loan could you qualify for? This is an overview of the loans that I carry. Okay, let's unpack this. First one is a bank loan. This is a regional bank, a local bank, a credit union. This is a recourse loan. A recourse loan says, hey, let me see your FICO score. Let me put my hands in your pocket, and I'm taking a part of your balance sheet away from you. You do not get to use your buying power when you work with a bank loan. So know that. That's really a critical piece. While you might have an LLC, you are signing on the loan. You are liable, okay? So just here's the breakdown. There is no minimum loan amount. Typical is 3 to 5 years of loan. That's the loan time. This too is amortized over 20 to 25 years. Sometimes they're as little as 15. So what you find is those monthly payments being huge. Interest only, some people give a year, some are 0. You get 75% leverage. They don't care how many occupancy, how long that is. And that might be the reason why you go with a bank loan. You love that property, but it's not 90 and 90. There is some a prepayment penalty. You can do the rehab into the loan. They will do supplementals as well. And the rates right now are 4 to 5%. So it might work for your deal. Don't be discouraged. Usually it's a local lender on that. And if it's below $1 million, that's a great solution. I start at $1 million, just so you know. Next one is Freddie small balance. So it starts at $1 million and it goes up to like 7.5 if you've got 100 or more units. So $1 million, this is non-recourse. This is something that says, hey, you're going to sign as a guarantor, but if something happens, let's just say you can't make it. We are in the business, Fannie and Freddie are in the business to rent the money. We're not wanting to own this property. So we're going to give you lots of encouragement, lots of direction. We may have to put a collection box on your property where all of the money goes into that box and the rest of it is yours. Potentially, if you can't, but we're going to try to work with you, do capital calls, whatever it is, before we take it over. Now, keep in mind, there are bad boy clauses in these, okay? They're called bad boy carve-outs. That means if you're doing something illegal and people do it, I'm in a deal right now, crazy, illegal business, this non-recourse can turn into recourse, and then you're really liable, okay? So on Freddie, you've got 80% LTV. You do need the 90% occupancy. This does not allow on a Freddie the rehab. They will do step down. They'll do yield maintenance. There is no supplemental loan. These loans are going right now at 3 to 5%. I have even seen a little bit dip down into 2 on the higher end. Next one, we do conventional Freddie. That's just going higher. That's going to be your 7 and above, 7 million and above. This also gets into Freddie has an adjustable rate. You don't need to worry about that, but it is out there and we're seeing a lot more adjustable. Why? Because interest rates are going to remain low. But just to help you, so you can sleep at night, you can put a cap on that rate so you can sleep. You don't have to worry about it going up. Okay, so most Most economists will say we're going to hold down that interest rate for some time. Okay. So next one, Fannie. Fannie does a small balance just like Freddie, and we do a conventional. When we talk about what's happened in COVID, Freddie, you have to do a principal and interest for 12 months. Principal and interest in an escrow account. That's held there. I'll take you through that in just a minute. Fannie, small balance, 18 months. It's quite a bit more. So we've seen a shift go mostly towards Fannie or Freddie. But listen, if you have a deal where your business plan says, I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna cash out my investors at year 5, I want a supplemental. This is a great strategy. Fannie is your only option. So it may be, worth it for you to go into an 18 months principal and interest reserves if that's your strategy. But we can certainly talk about that more, okay? Again, $1 million minimum, 5, 7, 10, and 12 year. Now these are balloon payments, right? So 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. At the end of 10 years, you either sell it or you refinance it. Okay, yield maintenance, this also does a step down. You have to be an experienced person. Again, you've got your supplemental option on that, and rates are 2 to 4. How am I doing on time? I've got 1 minute. Are we with me? Are you guys okay? You good?
We're good. If anybody has to punch, then I'll put the link on there for them to see the end of it if they got to go. But yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
Okay, perfect. So once again, now you see everything across. We've got non-recourse bridge. Non-recourse bridge. Okay, why would we use this? 75% occupancy. This is an opportunity to get into that deal with non-recourse lending instead of going to the bank. You hold this for 3 years. It's interest only. Who could ever imagine I'm going to the bank, I'm getting interest only debt? I mean, it is amazing. We talk about Fannie and Freddie. We're looking backwards. We're looking at what happened T1, T3, T12. When we look at bridge, we're looking forward. Who has the rents raised at $100 a month for doing this rehab component? And you can tell, hey, ABC, all of these apartments have $100 or more by doing these increases. That's what the bridge lending does for you. It allows you to bring the property up, do the rehab, and then take out. We call it a takeout to Fannie or takeout to Freddie. These typically start at $5 million. Now, you can find some that are lower. It's going to cost you a little bit more. These will give you 80% and then loan to cost. So if it's not NOI constrained, meaning we still can get to the debt service, we could potentially see 83% by adding in the rehab. I mean, it is an amazing product. One of the things that you have to remember about that is you need to look at your business plan, and that sponsor that is with you needs to have a rehab experience. If you don't have it, they need to have it. Your property manager needs to have it. Okay? Any questions on that? That is a lot. Okay. So the last one is, who do you need to add to your sponsorship team? How many of us have found a property and you're ready to buy it, but you don't have these people in place? You need to find KPs. So what are those? Those are people with your net worth, your liquidity. They've got a good score. They're US citizens, no bankruptcies, no lawsuits, and they can bring equity. That I talked about 10% of the equity. We're hoping that that person is going to invest in the deal. Not just give you the net worth and liquidity, but quite frankly, when you're talking to your investors, you say, and this is my KP or my GP in my deal, and he's done all of this. What happens if you say, but he's not putting any money in? That's a problem. You need that guy on your team that's going to bring some capital. All right, so keep that in mind. Again, you want to meet these people, you want to bolt them on because they're going to bring this net worth, liquidity, and that help you with that 10%. So some of the advantages and disadvantages of these KPs, okay? They are considered part of the agency. That's what you need them for. That's why you have them. You're going to pay for them to be on your deal. I have seen as much as 20 to 50% of the deal. Let's say you're doing an 80-20 split, 20 is yours. That's 100, right? 100 of that 20. 50% of that deal goes to them. That's a lot. But if they weren't on your deal, you would not have closed, right? There's no way you could close this. So you do have to allow them some benefit to be in your deal, okay? And they need to have know about the loan process. So, you know, they've done this in the past. The disadvantages is that it may switch over to recourse if there's some, you know, bad behavior. If the performance goes negative, it might impact their ability to work with them in the future. We're going to need them to have the PFS, and some of them don't want that. They don't want to provide that. That's a disadvantage. So just a couple things you might want to know about this bad boy carve-outs. You know, hate to deal with it, but you have to talk about it. If you're not putting the information correctly in the areas, that's defaulting. Your insurance proceeds aren't going into the property. You're not sending the financials or the proper financials. One is for the performance, and one is, you know, the real books, and just fraud in general. So when we talk and we're looking for who's on your deal, we're going to ask for your PFS. You'll see there your schedule of real estate. We call it a SREO, and your resume. So you're going to talk about what you do in real estate, how many things you have, what the addresses are, what you bought it for, what you sold it for, what you rehabbed, and so forth. We'll also look for a breakdown of the ownership. We'll ask for an org chart to look something like this. This is where you can talk to your attorneys that can put this together. And then this is kind of a breakdown, talked about how you pay your investors. The number one investor is the one that finds the deal and raises the equity. And you can take a look at this. We won't take too much time, but you can see the limited partners who are bringing your capital are your major investors. They get most of the deal. You get the rest of it. So at that point, you've got your deal together, then you call me. And then we'll talk about, does this deal fit in your strategy, in your criteria? You're going to run it through your analyzer. You're going to call your insurance broker. You're going to check with your taxing authority. You're going to check your reversion cap rates to make sure that it makes sense for the next person to purchase it. And then if everything makes sense there, you're going to send me the T12 and the rent roll. And if you've got a OM, your offering memorandum, and your analyzer. Those are 4 things that I would love for you to give me. And so we'll talk about it when you call me, and then I send this off. I take a look at it together, and then I send it off to my underwriters. So if you can take a look at this, this is something that's a purchase price of $35 million. The loan amount would be $28 million, and we will return something of the sorts to you to show you how we've underwritten this. We won't take a lot of time, but as you can see, typically, if we see the trend is going up, we'll use the T3. Otherwise, we're looking at the T1, and that's not gonna give you as many loan dollars as hopefully the T3, but at least we can do it. We're gonna put in the interest rate. We're gonna analyze this. You can see on this particular situation, we're looking at the expenses being around, I think it was 47%. There's a breakdown of what we recommend or what we see in these deals, 3 to 4% on management, 300 to 400 for your advertising payroll, 11 to 12. These are just guidelines that we typically look. So we're putting them in and we're going to give you feedback. And a lot of it has to be based on two things. One, the performance of the asset, which is about 75%. 25%, the rest of it is based on the sponsorship team. So this is not a quick scam, get rich quick kind of deal. This is about building a team, a relationship, and it could take you 2 years to get the right fit, to make sure that the person you're coordinating with, that you're going into business, makes sense and that you can work together. Okay, people call me all the time. I need a sponsor. I call up Ray. Ray, can you be a sponsor? I put them together. They always say, let's give Julie the bank loan, right? Right, Ray? Good. I got you, man. And then, and then we can help them with the investors. So this is what you'll get back, the feedback, and we'll discuss it after we push it over. These are the reserves, just real quickly. I crossed out where we were in COVID. And it was a process, but what's left is, as you can see, this is going to be Fannie here, is 12 months on Fannie, large balance, 18 months on the small balance. And it's 9 months minimum, really. They'll say 6 months, and then you qualify to perform for 1 month at a certain DSCR, 1.25 or 1.35. Okay, that's Fannie. Freddie is a little different. You've got your standard SBL, small balance loan, and conventional, but for the most part, you're looking at above 1.4 or below 1.4, how long it takes. But ideally, we're looking at about 12 months on Freddie. Okay, so how long does it take to close these loans? This is pre-COVID. Now we've got the COVID PSA. We've extended the due diligence. We've extended the financial contingency. I am seeing hard EMD go hard, like 250,000 in day 10. It's happening. It's crazy. It's risky. So if the deal works, go for it. How much are the closing costs? I say the larger, like 10 million, it's usually 2%. If it's below 10, we look at 3%. To use Old Capital, we charge a 1% of the loan amount. Ray asked me to provide you something that I've done recently. We just did a refinance on a property that got hit by a hurricane, that got hit by evictions, that got hit by Laura just recently. So we're doing deals in Florida. We're getting refinances. We're getting sales, acquisitions. But this was just one I thought it was kind of crazy of all deals that we had to provide a refinance for them. So how does the deal look? Just so you know, maybe no one's ever talked to you about this. Call me before the LOI. Let's get an understanding. Let's get a strategy. Let's get the right product for your business plan. You get the PSA signed. We then submit an application where you'll need $10,000. Now you don't want to be out $10,000. So make sure that that PSA and everything, all your due dates, all your contingencies are set. Once that application is signed, we start to engage our third parties, your appraisers, your engineers, your environmental. Let's say it falls out. If we haven't done an appraisal or any of those third parties, you can get the money back. But as soon as you know, you really need to cut the cord, and we can get you as much as we can if they haven't done any work. Okay, then we get a checklist from the appraiser, from the environmental. We got to go through it. I'm telling you, when you're into the underwriting, it feels like you are being you're going to see your urologist. It is a difficult process. We will be talking to each other 1 to 10 times a day. Then it gets submitted for approval. We get the approval about 4 or 5 days before close. Then we sign the term sheet, which is usually 3 days, and then we close the deal. Execution certainty, know your dates, come to me early. Now, should you be buying right now? The rates are incredibly low. What goes with that is uncertainty. What's going to happen? There are acquisitions that are happening. They've been going on, but fewer since COVID, right? We're doing refinances. Why not? It's a great time to refinance. Assumptions, they're out there. They are tough to get done. Typically, we're seeing these assumptions on short term. The buyer or the seller bought it just recently, and you're going to have to capital raise a lot. So know what you're getting into on those assumptions. Know your market. What's your tenant base? Are they full of hospitality? That's what we're going to be looking at. This whole underwriting is really getting the nitty gritty, understanding who we're looking at. Applications that happened whenever the tenant came in, what was their employment, what they're doing now. It's intense, you guys. Can you capital raise? I mean, it can be difficult, but there is a lot of, like I said earlier, there's a lot of equity in the market. So right now it may not be as difficult, but always be surveying your investors. I'm in a deal right now where they were doing quick fix and flip homes, fix and flip, fix and flip. Then they went to apartments and they did a couple. And then they decided, hey, I want to go longer term. And they went back to their investors and they said, oh no, I'm not going for long term. I signed up for short term. So we're looking to change the capital stack into somebody who wants to stay longer term. You don't want to get into that. You want to know exactly what your criteria and your business plan is in the beginning, okay? So survey those investors. Do they want to go long term? Do they want to short hold? Make sure you're getting the right investor for that property. And is it okay for them to get a 3 or 4% cash on cash return in the first couple years? Because the rates are not or the rents are not going up. So are they okay with that? With these new reserve requirements as well. So you say, is the timing right? Was the timing right back in 2008? For many people, it was a bad time. But for some investors, that's where they started. And now they have 30,000 units. So at some point, your timing is right for you. What are the next steps, you guys? What can you be doing? Educating yourself, like doing things like this, getting on our podcast, coming to our conference, getting me your personal financials of all the people in your group, understanding how much of a deal you can take down. If you're a JV, have that conversation with me first. Know what you're able to buy, and then go, meet brokers. One of the greatest tidbits I like to talk about is golden nuggets. If you're new and you don't have a market, find a market that you don't want to work in and build a little team there and make a ton of mistakes, because all you have is your reputation. And if you go to a market that you want to be in and you make a bunch of mistakes, you're out. Go find another market. So I say, find a market that you don't want and work it. Maybe make it 90 days. This is a long-term investment, guys. This is something you're going to be in for quite some time. It's not rich quick. It's not, I'm going to have 1,000 doors by the end of the year. Seriously, that doesn't happen. After that, start making offers after coming to me and we discuss it, and then we're going to close the deal. Seems pretty easy. What about you guys? Are there any questions that I have not covered or you need understanding?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed Old Capital covers debt and equity. Can you speak on the equity terms?
Yes, I can. Great question. So equity, I do it a couple different ways. Typically, it's on large deals. So 50 million, I need 50 million. So we have relationships with quite a few funds, quite a few groups that are looking to provide equity. We work with them, we partner, we bring the deals together. I'm working on a deal right now where they need equity. I am providing a GP to bring the equity. I'm in the middle. I provide this as a service. Once we have a relationship established, then we're going together into these deals. But if I'm providing a solution for the equity, typically if it's smaller deals, I'll be helping. I'll just be saying, hey, you need to talk to this person. I typically, if it's, around $1 million, $2 million, and you need help raising, I'm happy to, have you come onto my Zoom at 8 and we make an announcement and invite everybody, under SEC guidelines
Right.
to help your deal.
Okay.
But if it's larger, I'm working on something that's 36 million. I am bringing the equity partner, and I will be paid for that.
Okay. Are they looking for, what's the pref return looking for? Is it 6, 7, 8?
It all depends on the deal.
Okay.
Some people are at 15, and some people are at simply at a 10 or a 9% cap pref.
Okay.
Yep,
Is
I've
there
got a guy who's got $100 million. He needs, it's a fund. He just wants to be an LP on as many places that he can.
Okay.
I am going to be bringing him to your deals if you
Okay.
need it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Hypothetical, or you have a guy with $100 million?
yes, I do.
Okay, sounds great.
Oh,
100 million.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. They out there. Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah.
Julie's my friend, by the way.
Yes.
So pref, for those
My
that don't,
hutch.
I was gonna say, for those that don't know, pref is basically what you're paying investors up, no matter how the deal's going. So it's kind of like the minimum and interest that they'll make on the deal for your passive investors.
And there are some people that do not pay. I think Dan Hanford does not pay a pref. He doesn't believe in it. I'm pretty sure he does. He does that. But there are some investors or syndicators that will not do a pref, and some that will. They've kind of ebbed and flowed. Before COVID, we saw them getting away from it, and I think that some more people are bringing it forward just to give some confidence. What else? Anybody? You guys are easy.
Okay.
I went way over, you guys. I went way over. I told you I was so excited. I had so much to tell you.
Well, the
Was
good
it
news,
worth
too,
it?
the host didn't have to go anywhere. And so if the folks were there, I was going to let you go as long as you wanted. So now it's
Okay.
a ton of information. That was great, Julie. I'm gonna go ahead and post this so that people can get to it, so you can get to it and use it as well.
Thank
so,
you.
this was fabulous, and I appreciate you coming on.
Great. I so appreciate the opportunity to meet all you. Take my contact information, have it. I'm happy to go over anything that you didn't understand or you need any clarification, or if you want to join me for Zoom. All of the information is on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
That's great. So I know we had a couple people that came in once you started, Julie. It was at the very beginning, but
Oh, yeah.
if you have a chance, go ahead and put your information on the chat, your email information, if you haven't had a chance, so that we can make sure that we pass this. I will send this out, kind of the summary of this thing to the invites, and probably do a mea culpa for whoever couldn't find the right link, and we'll get that fixed. I'm not sure what that was about, but I think you can't use. I may have tried to reuse a link and it didn't let me. It's got to be a brand new one every time. But,
well, actually, I don't think it does. What you can do is put it in as a reoccurring in your calendar. You go to look up Zoom when you schedule an appointment and put it as reoccurring, and then it'll be the same.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll go fix that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate those that were trying to talk and couldn't talk. So it's all good, but the material was great, Julie. So this meeting is once a month, third Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you've got something that you think is worth presenting to the group, please reach out to me via email. I'm also working with some folks to bring some different materials here. But it's all based on what you guys are asking and looking for. So we will definitely try to cater it, because I think that the idea is that we all get something out of it. And I thought I knew some stuff about lending, but this was fantastic. I took some notes, and I'm looking forward to looking at this again.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. And you know, if there's more that you guys are looking for, I'm happy to come back. If you've got another topic, or you want to understand how to underwrite, how we, you know, go further into the underwriting, certainly can come back, or whatever you guys need. Happy to help.
All right. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. And thanks everyone for joining. And until next time, and remember, invest where it makes sense, people.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Here's Mel.
Yeah, thanks, Ray.
Have a good night. Thanks, Ray.